One of the craziest chess games, and definitely one of the craziest and most brilliant moves of all time, is in this game. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you today a game from Frank Marshall. If you don't know who he is, he's the Marshall Chess Club in New York City is named after him. One of the best players in the world at his time. And he played one of the most stunning moves of all time. If you haven't seen this, or if you're relatively new to chess, you're thinking about getting into chess, I guarantee you this move changes your outlook on chess and possibly your outlook on life. That's how stunning it is. Anyway, let's dive in. Let's take a look. Okay, so this game starts out with a fairly benign and calm chess opening. D4, D5 opening, fairly innocuous here. Nothing going on. No fireworks. His opponent is Stefan Levitsky. I'm not sure who that is. But he played normal chess, good solid chess, but normal chess. So if you want to be a famous chess player, you want your name to live on forever, play like this guy, Frank Marshall, and I assure you, people will be talking about you for a very long time. Okay, now this is the funny thing, is that I've gotten this position many times. This is a very common chess position, and he managed to take a very common chess position and create one of the most spectacular moves of all time from this said position. So Frank Marshall castles here. We have a take on c5. The reason why he didn't take back the pawn is because that would pin his knight, and then we have all sorts of trouble here. I mean, including bishop f6 and then knight takes. So for that reason, he couldn't take back. So instead, he just supports the pawn. This is a common motif in this position. Black comes up here attacking the bishop. Now the point is, White wants the bishop pair here. However, after we have a take, this is fine for Black because Black will get a strong pawn center, 2 pawns in the center, and an open lane for the rook. Plus, White is spending time to get this bishop. Well, 1, 2, 3 moves. So for that reason, this is totally fine here. Now, Frank Marshall captures. Now, why does he capture now? Because the pawn is protected by the bishop, so White would not win a pawn by taking and coming here, as we saw in the previous variation. So White takes, Frank Marshall takes back, and he attacks the pawn. Now, it's a pretty clever move. He's attacking the pawn, and it looks like the knight can just grab that bishop, but then we can just grab the queen. So let's not do stuff like that. So Frank Marshall steps out of the pin, guards the pawn. His knight's defended by the rook and the pawn, but we want to take back with the rook. We don't want to mess up our pawn structure. So everything's fine. Frank Marshall finishes development. Notice how he finishes development. And after he finishes development, he starts improving his pieces, not going for one move attacks. So he's just pinning the knight here, and maybe he's trying to get him come here with his knight. Give White some problems, so White takes this knight to stop him from jumping in here. A good thing to know is when the queen and knight are together like this, diagonal to each other, you can't chase the bishop away if he's pinning the knight, because the knight can come in here attacking the queen and attacking the pin piece at the same time. So there's no time to take because you can take the queen. So for that reason, Levitsky took and Frank Marshall took back, improving his position. Okay, notice how White also finishes development. Okay, Frank Marshall steps his queen to c5, getting into a better position. And now he chops off the knight because he wanted to double and isolate. These are double isolated pawns. In the end game, these will be a weakness. And he goes ahead and grabs the pawn, actually. So he's winning a pawn, and these pawns are isolated. So in the end game, this is going to be tough. Levitsky is able to get a pawn back because this is not really defended, because then White would take over here. So he saw that Black would win this, but he would win this pawn. Frank Marshall saw that, but in my opinion, he went into this because he said after this, White's pawns are going to be isolated in the endgame. My pawns are going to be together. Therefore, I have the advantage. Okay, so in this position, he develops his knight and attacks the queen. After the queen moves, he improves his rook. Okay, notice how the spectacular move just doesn't come out of nowhere. All the pieces have been developed and since then been improved upon. So he has an open file for attack. He has not one rook there, but two rooks there. His knight is centrally placed and his queen is in a very versatile position. Okay, so after rook e5, we have rook h6 attacking the queen, and after the queen moves to g4, this is the fatal mistake here. Frank Marshall takes on h3. And this is not the brilliant sacrifice, believe it or not. This is a pretty normal sacrifice that you would see every day, depending on what level you're playing at, because white can't take because that forfeits the f3 square. Then we jump in and we take the queen, and white looks silly. However, he saw that, apparently, and had a little in-between move here. However, if black just plays a random move, he's still winning. So maybe he thought he would just chase the queen around and possibly get a draw. It's not likely black's winning here. But Frank Marshall did not play that. In fact, I want you guys to do me a favor. If you haven't seen this game, pause your videos and really think hard. Think hard about this position. Think about your life. Think about everything, because this move is about to change your life. It's about to change your whole paradigm of reality of what you know at this time. This move is that insane. If you are on the cusp of getting into chess, I'm not sure what, depending on, there's all different rating levels that watch my videos. But if you're getting into chess, well, if you're stuck at chess or you're not inspired, this move should inspire you. Okay, let's take a look. Frank Marshall played queen g3. And white resigns. That's right, white resigned. Not black. He didn't blunder. It's not a mouse slip. There was no mouses back. Well, there were mice, but no computer mouses. And black won the game here on the spot. Frank Marshall won the game here on the spot. Why is that? Well, let's take a look at the first move. You can see that white can take the queen in three ways. If white takes this way, checkmate on the spot. If white takes this way, we have check, only move, checkmate. And if white takes with the queen, which is the best move, no one's actually ever mentioned this before that I've seen. They mentioned this part. So we have a check, and then we have taking the queen. You cannot take with this pawn because the rook's defending it. And if you take with this, you get checkmated. However, what no one mentions is that this is still the best way to go. Queen takes queen. Because after this check, you go into the corner, and after this check, you don't take, you just come back here. And then black has to throw in a check to save his pieces, and then he protects both of his pieces, and black is up a knight and should easily win the game, but that's the best way for white to defend. Still ridiculous, though, but that's it, folks. That is the spectacular move. Let's just look at it again. Queen g3. Let that sink in. Chess can be a beautiful game, sport, art, science, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, that wraps things up. If you like this video, make sure you check out this one. Get out here and go play some crazy chess moves yourself.